everybody. I am here today with Christopher Essex. If y'all have not heard of him yet, you're going to learn a little bit today, and it's going to make you want to learn more. Hey, Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. And I just chopped your name off. Or do you go by Chris or Christopher?
Everyone is more than welcome to call me Chris. I always go professionally by Christopher. My mom gave me the name. That's the way she always loves to introduce me. So as a mama's boy, I will always introduce myself as Christopher.
Christopher. Okay.
Everyone calls me Chris.
I'm bad to do that. And it's funny because my oldest daughter, her name is Rebecca. Mm-hmm. And she was always Rebecca. And she, even at like 3 years old, she would, if somebody called her Becky, she would be like, my name is Rebecca. So then, I'm bad to cut off people's names. And I'm like, you shouldn't do that. You didn't do that with your own child. So,
I genuinely never stress about it. It's a professional versus like a personal thing. So people can always call me Chris.
Right. Well, Rebecca's like that now, and herself during school, she shortened it to Becca. So, I figure if my kids do that themselves, that's fine. But I never did. So I have caught several of your live shows that you do. You're going on like almost nightly with, different artists and stuff. Is that what you're doing to keep yourself sane during this pandemic? And
a little bit of everything. I mean, the idea actually started from a page called Upstar Music.
Yeah.
And Upstar Music was doing something similar to kind of what I'm doing now. And the guy who runs Upstar, his name is Jamie, and he had reached out to me maybe a handful of months ago. I had done a cover of a Kane Brown song, and he loved the song, and he wanted to feature it on his Acoustic Tuesdays. Now, his whole page is just supporting artists, similar to what you're doing, just supporting artists and trying to outreach and getting people like me that are independent artists that are on the grind to be introduced to other people. Exactly. And I went live with him, and I loved how many artists he was able to pull in for this kind of a live stream type thing. And I'm new to Nashville. I moved here December 1st.
Okay.
So I'm still new to the area. And there are a lot of people that, I saw in his live stream that I was like, I wish I knew them. I wish I was friends with them. I would love to, enter this business alongside these types of people because these people are so talented. And so I was like, this could be an interesting opportunity to kind of meet them, get to know their music, and have both of us have an opportunity to update people, our fan bases that we've, been growing and cultivating and everything, and just talk to people and hang out. And so the idea started from there. I had reached out to so many artists, and I kind of reached out to so many artists with the idea that if I get a handful, I'll be lucky. And so far, almost every person I reached out to has come along with the idea. So I've just been booked crazy because I may have just reached out to too many people. But I've loved the idea. And so every weekend so far, I've gone live with a different artist. And tonight I am going live with someone. I was supposed to go live with Sunday, but we had some weather concerns, so we postponed it to today. I go live tomorrow with another artist that we just didn't have connection issues on the first time we tried to go live. And then I'll be going live again this week on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But then after this week, I am stepping away from the idea was quarantine and chill, which came off of like the Netflix idea. I always love fun, wordy things. But we're going to step away from that idea just because hopefully quarantine won't last much longer, but I would love for this to last a little longer. And so it's going to turn into a weekly thing. I'll bring on a new artist every week. The idea is to bring them on Wednesdays. And we'll bring a new artist on every week and just hang out for a couple hours on stream and, update everyone on either that new artist, introduce them to who they are, and then just hang out and play some music.
Yeah, it's been great. And, you mentioned Upstar. It's kind of interesting because that's actually how I found you. I just so happened to, and I'd never heard of Upstar until that night. And I saw that they were live and I clicked on, and it immediately caught my interest because he's kind of doing, like you said, similar to what I'm doing, but different.
Yeah.
And I think his live stream was just short term.
Yeah.
for me, mine is a long-term goal. But like you said, it's, reaching out, meeting new artists, giving y'all the opportunity to showcase you. And, that's one thing that I love doing is showcasing. I pick 4 artists each week. And it used to be, I focused just on new artists.
Right.
But then I changed my mind and I'm like, it's just going to be someone that stands out to me this week. Because a lot of you guys aren't necessarily new. You just might not have that Tim McGraw name or that Kane Brown or, that Carrie Underwood. You may not have that name yet, but y'all aren't new. So I just took the new out of it. But when I watched Upstar that night, I was really, when he had you on, because I watched, his whole show that night, and he just had like a revolving door of artists coming in.
Yeah.
And it was great. And then when I saw you came on, I was like, hey, this guy is good.
Oh, and, thank you.
You went on my list. I've got like a running list. And then so I'd love to try to reach out to you guys and get an interview with you. So that gives you another, like you said, another format to get out here, meet people, get your foot in the door, whatever it is. Y'all bust your butts there. And, I know just from talking to several of y'all that you're like constantly on the go with, studio time, interviews, this, that, the other, everything, recording, writing music. Because I think probably every single one of y'all that I've interviewed, you also write your own music.
Yeah.
And I love that when an artist is like very well-rounded. And nothing against the artists that don't write and they, solely get it from somebody else, because there are some fantastic songwriters out there.
Absolutely.
That's all they do.
Right.
And if it wasn't for them, but I think it's great that y'all write your own songs. And one song in particular that you have done really recently, I want you to kick this interview off with, if you will.
Sure.
Your parody song.
Yes, absolutely.
If people have not heard that yet, this is fantastic. Okay. If you haven't heard it yet, you're going to hear it now. And you've got to go to his Instagram, Facebook, Spotify, all the music platforms you can find him. I don't think he's got his parody out there on the music platforms yet, but it's definitely on his socials. Yes. So check this out.
Yeah, so this parody is from Thomas Rhett's Beer Can't Fix. I heard it on the radio, and I actually decided to parody it because I had done a positivity challenge. I had started a positivity challenge for the C10 Do 10 Days thing. And I'm certain y'all saw like a bunch of people doing push-ups or squats and stuff. And I was like, what if we changed it and did something, maybe a little more active than, a workout? Let's do C10 Do 10 Days of Positivity. So I started that. And on one of the days I heard this song and I was like, let's see what I can do with this. So here it is. Beer Can't Fix Corona parody. Doc says 14 days alone, social distance at home, 'cause you're under quarantine. But there's so much you don't know, like why is everything closed? And what the hell is COVID-19? Well, the experts call the virus Corona, and say it's spread from China down to Daytona. Limes ain't a cure, but hell if you want, ain't nothing that a beer can't fix. Ain't no pain it can wash away. But do y'all know where toilet paper is? And why the hell did it go away? You could be lonely, heartbroken, or like me, recently unemployed. But turn that frown into a smile real quick. Might take a month or it might take 6. And I'm just saying that if you get sick, which I'm hoping that no one watching the stream gets sick, so wash your hands, do everything right, and you'll be fine. But if you do get sick, there ain't nothing that a beer can't fix.
I love it. That is just... That is the greatest thing I've heard during this pandemic. I mean,
I love that.
yeah, when I came across that, I was sitting on the couch and I had my earbuds in and I was just sitting on the couch and I just started cracking up laughing. And my husband was like, "What are you laughing at?" I'm like, "You've got to listen to this. You're going to love this."
That's awesome.
Yeah, so that was fantastic. I mean, that was definitely a good way to turn this negativity around and, like you said, try to make something positive of it.
Absolutely. I mean, it is no doubt, that, these are hard times for sure. So my mom is an ER nurse. And so she's, on the front lines every day, with this and everything. And, it's tough. There's no doubt. It's a tough time in general because there's so much we don't know. There's a lot of information here and there, and you never know what to understand, what to believe, and all of this stuff. So it's on top of there already being a tough pandemic that we're going through. There's just a lot outside of all that. And so I've always just been one, there's a lot that you can't control in life. There's so much that you can't control in life. The thing you can control is how you look at the life and the cards you've been dealt. And, just try and have fun and put a smile on your, fake it till you make it.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. As a nurse myself, but unfortunately don't get to work as one anymore. My heart definitely goes out to all in the medical community. Even outside the hospitals, the ambulance personnel, police, fire, rescue, all those that are definitely right out there on the front lines. And especially, people like your mom in the ER that's having to deal with this firsthand, and being a shortage of masks and supplies. And I actually had some guys on the other day that were trying to do something about that and help with the shortage of masks. And, a lot of people say, well, I'm just one person. I can't do much. I can't, what little I can do is not really going to do a lot. Well, it's got to start somewhere.
Right.
And that's that was part of my, and I'm not going to give anything away, but our project that we're working on, I'm just one person. I don't know how good it's going to go, but hey, whatever, if one person does it and then another and then another and another, it's, a domino effect, and, we'll get through it. We're all in this together. And I've just been really happy to see the world kind of unite together to get through this. Right. So I'm hoping on the other end, we have no idea what it's going to be. We know it's going to be chaos. It's going to be crazy. But I really hope our new normal is a much better normal.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so it's interesting. So I, background into me getting into country music, right? I am from Florida and my mom was raised in Wisconsin. So she brought a lot of that Midwest, country love to me, growing up. And so I grew up with artists like Alan Jackson. And, that'll be funny for when I show another song later in the stream. But, it just made me think of Alan Jackson's Where Were You? And so that's a song that, in the time he was going, kind of said the same thing, I guess, my idea on things. And it's this idea, he was, saying, I'm not much of a political man. There's a lot that I don't know, and I sing songs and that's what I do. But, I'm hoping that love will get us through this,
Exactly.
And so everyone can do something, whether it's me writing some, goofy parody just to,
lighten the mood.
Have fun, or those people that are actually out there saving lives. We can always do our part to make the world better.
Exactly. And it's, on top of you mentioning his song, to that, of course, you're referring to 9/11. I remember that like it was yesterday. And with that song, I know exactly where I was and what I was doing. And it's so, we thought that was going to be the biggest thing that we ever faced. And, we hoped it would be. But now we're going through this. And this is, I don't know of any of us alive that has ever gone through this. And it's life changing in a way that I don't even know how to explain, because it's just made us all look at everything so much differently.
Oh, of course.
So much differently. But I just, like I said, I hope our new normal is a great new normal, and the unity that we all feel right now doesn't go away.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But that's one thing I've always felt in country music. And that's why I gravitate towards country music more so than any other genre, which I love all kinds of music. But I just feel like country music is one big happy family. And,
absolutely.
You said you just moved to Nashville in December. You're probably already feeling that, or we're starting to feel that a little bit before you got quarantined.
Sure.
Bad timing for you. But I just feel like it's, such a family genre of music. And I don't know that that's felt so much in the other genres, as the country music world just seems to come together and support each other and try to get each other through these times. On Instagram, what I'm seeing, the ones I'm seeing doing all these lives is country music artists. Yeah. I'm not seeing the other genres really, getting out there and doing these kind of things like we are.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, I will always, I was having an interesting conversation with Ryan, actually. And we were talking because his genre of music, or the music that he gravitates towards in country music, is kind of the Dan and Shay, vibe, right? And we were talking that, it actually kind of had stemmed from his love for John Mayer, or Dave Matthews Band, you know what I mean? And he was like, if they had been around now, they'd be considered country because they're storytellers, Right. And I think what's interesting, I was just having a conversation with Angie K, who is Sirius XM's new highway find, most recent highway find. And she's from El Salvador. And so she's got a lot of a Latin American background in her song. When I heard it on the radio, I found it so interesting because I grew up with a Dominican family. My best friend's from the Dominican Republic. And so they kind of took us in, me and my mom. And when I heard it on the radio, it was a sound that I grew up listening to, a very bossa nova Latin groove to it, mixed with a little country flair. And I was just so surprised to hear it on the radio. But I loved that I was hearing it on the radio because it definitely has a different style than a lot that's out there right now, but it tells a story. And for me, as long, and she is such a person that wants to give back to people, so I think any person can be a country artist, because if they're telling stories that they're going through, someone in our country can relate to that.
Right. Absolutely. And that's what country music is telling stories.
Yeah.
That's one reason. And I love so many of you guys. I hate to name drop on one person or, whatever, but two females that stand out to me that I've interviewed lately. And actually everybody I've interviewed has been great. So don't misunderstand, but Lizzie Cates and Ava Page. Oh my God, these girls, I love them. And they're, of course, young enough they could be my daughters. So I would adopt them in a heartbeat. But they are such storytellers with their music. And Lizzie will say, I tell my feelings. I sing my feelings. And that's exactly what she does.
Yeah.
And, Ava does too with her battling cancer. That child she's 15 years old.
Yeah.
And battling cancer, but yet she still sits down to write songs and sings her little heart out. And there's such feeling in their songs, whether it's something slow or something upbeat, that just brings you out of whatever funk that you might be in,
Right.
I think that's why I loved your parody so much, because so many people are just down right now and looking at negative stuff. And if you can turn to music or to a song, and it can pull you out of that mood, you can say something about that artist that they have an additional talent.
Yeah.
Just, something, that little something extra, because, singers can sing, guitar players can play, but unless they come up with those lyrics that just resonate with you, that pull you out, I'm not going to remember them so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, of course.
So music is healing. And it really doesn't matter what genre it is. I actually grew up hating country music. It's funny because when I was younger, my dad loved country and bluegrass. My mom was beach music. I hated country. Of course, I was an 80s teenager. So it was, anything 80s and of course the classic rock. AC/DC, but it wasn't until I was older that I appreciated country music so much. And I see why my dad, loved it so much. And I'm forever grateful to him to making me listen to it as a child because I grew up loving it. And now, this is what I do. Right. So, I mean, I love it. And I love that y'all can tell stories and people can relate to them.
Well, and it's interesting, we were talking about the healing power of it, right? So on Instagram, just the other day, a post was being promoted by Instagram of, I'm going to say a pastor. I don't know what denomination the man was preaching from. But he was talking about how some of the interns, and so I kind of confused on this, but he was talking about some of the people that are working under him. And he was talking to them saying, be careful who you share your stories with. And he was saying it because he was saying, there's a time and a place to share your stories, right? Because if you have an open wound, and you pick at that open wound, it'll never heal. So you have to wait until the scar is there and the wound is healed to then show the scars. And he talked about, Jesus Christ and, how God gave him the scars on his hands so that he could tell the story of what happened. I thought that was interesting, but I thought from a different perspective, as someone who is a singer-songwriter or an artist, we have a different responsibility. We can't necessarily always wait until our wounds are healed to tell the stories that we need to tell, because sometimes I think it is our responsibility to tell those stories as soon as we are going through them, because there could be someone else out there that is going through that. And so sometimes for us, we have to show the vulnerability of our open wounds so that someone can heal, you know? And I think it's an interesting responsibility we have. I mean, you look at Eric Clapton, right? And he wrote Tears in Heaven, you know, and that happened, shortly after his son, perished at a very young age. And he had a unique responsibility to tell that story. That story came to him. He wrote that song, and he had that unique responsibility to do something about it. So I think that's what, makes artists interesting, is that, we don't always have, and I think that's, what becomes problematic to some, is that they bear so much of their truths and they don't let themselves heal so much for others that, it can go wrong. But I think that's the unique responsibility that we have as artists.
Yeah, I like the way that you said that. That makes perfect sense. And I don't have anything to add to that. You said that perfectly. I agree 100%. What other types of genres do you listen to? Do you draw inspiration from, or that, we're talking about healing of music? Is it just country music for you? Or
no, not at all.
You just mentioned Eric Clapton, so
right. So I have, I'm kind of like a music mutt. So, so the background to me is I actually started as a musical theater artist. So I started as an actor. I did musicals my whole life. I actually went to college for that. So I have a degree in acting and in musical theater. And then I went out to New York right after I graduated and was working out there as an actor. And so for me, musicals will always have a place in my heart. And I think that's also what's interesting when I tackle a song, either that I'm writing or that someone else has written and that I'm either trying to cover or maybe shop out myself, is I want to hear the story. Because I think musical theater has the best stories ever written are out there. You have people like Stephen Sondheim, who just writes music, and it's so much more than the lyrics. It's so much more than the melody. It's this perfect blend of the two that give you this emotional response that is so, it's beyond surface level. And so, it's interesting. I kind of have an expectation of a story to have a musical theater level of urgency to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I know that now I'm trying to get myself away from that kind of an urgency, because I, you know, realize that not every song needs to have that. But I think the big ones that I know are there to do something, whether it be happy, mad, sad, you know, all emotional spectrum. It needs to have a level of urgency to it. And I learned that through musical theater. Through musical theater, though, I got a job playing Johnny Cash in a show called $1 Million Quartet.
Oh, and, wow.
Yeah, so for the past 2 years, almost 2.5 now, I've been on and off going on tour, doing it regionally. I did it on Norwegian Cruise Lines out in Europe for 6 months. And the show, oh yeah, I mean, it's been amazing. It's changed my life completely. And I'll circle back to that, but it is the reason that I'm now doing country music. So I was working as an actor out in New York City, and when I was in college, I had been offered the role of Johnny Cash, $1 Million Quartet, and a summer stock. And so I went to a theater, did it for like 2 weeks, then left and was like, okay, well, I did that show, I've moved on. Then I went to New York, and one of the first major auditions I had was to do it again. And this time it was at 54 Below. And it was just going to be like a couple songs from it. And I did it there. 54 Below is a huge cabaret theater off of 54th and Broadway. So I did it there. And then a couple weeks after that, I got another audition to do it now out in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
And so then I got the role. And I guess one thing I know is I'm good at playing Johnny Cash, because I continue to get the role. So I went out there, and the reason I feel like I have a connection with Eric Clapton in some ways through this is when you research the show is about Johnny Cash, Elvis Presley, Jerry Lee Lewis, and Carl Perkins.
Oh my God.
And it's about the four of them when they were in Sun Records. They were in the same record label out in Memphis. And this is when they were 20 years old. And December 4th, 1956.
Wouldn't you have loved to have been there?
Oh, I mean, absolutely. And I think that's what's exciting about the show is the show tells about the night, December 4th, 1956, when they all hung out in the studio together. One night, they were all in the same room, and this never happened again. They never were in the same place at the same time ever again in the rest of their lives. And they were doing this when they were 20 to 23. Like, that's how the age range of these four guys was. And I mean, absolutely. I mean, it could never happen in today's society. Yeah. You know, that four big of names being left alone and being able to hang out and jam and it just could have never worked.
Wow.
And so I think that's what's exciting about the show and why people love it is because you see living legends on stage.
Yeah.
So nevertheless, I feel a connection to a lot of other artists through that because you get to learn. So Carl Perkins obviously had a huge career hit when Elvis Presley made his song Blue Suede Shoes famous. Yeah. So Carl Perkins wrote the song Blue Suede Shoes, got into a car accident and wasn't able to do it on TV. And Elvis Presley was sent instead to do that song on TV, and it became famous. Carl Perkins then dealt with an issue with drugs and alcohol. And June Carter got Johnny Cash sober. Johnny Cash got Carl Perkins sober. Johnny Cash took Carl Perkins on tour for most of his life until Carl Perkins was back on his feet doing his own solo artistry. Carl Perkins was famous in the UK, and his sound, being a lead electric guitar player and being a front man, led to George Harrison and led to Eric Clapton. And so they both hold him in such high regard. And you can see a young Eric Clapton playing Matchbox alongside Johnny Cash and Carl Perkins in the 80s, I think. So it's just interesting. I find all these connections through that I've done. But It was when I was out in Chicago that I was like, I want to pursue my own artistry. I want to tell my own stories, and I think I give that credit to getting to play Johnny Cash, a man who, for right or wrong, stood for what he believed in.
Right.
And he told stories, and I love that. And so I wanted to bring that to my life. And here I am. So that's the long and the short of it. So I think I'm a music mutt because I love the history behind the artists and the music and the stories that are told.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's why I love doing the interviews so much, because I learn stuff like this about you artists that, might not be out there for the public to learn or hear.
Oh,
and
sure.
What was the name of that show?
The show is called $1 Million Quartet. So if you go... $1 Million Quartet. Yeah, so if you go on YouTube, right, you can actually search that and you will find the Broadway cast recording of of the show, right? But then you can also actually listen to the actual recording. There was a recording made that night of them. So the A&R guy, Sam Phillips, he was there.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, this is amazing. And he just started recording. And they recorded the entire night. And now these guys weren't there recording. They were
just playing around.
They were drinking and smoking and being a bunch of guys in the 50s that had no idea who they were going to be. And a lot of it's gospel. A lot of it isn't, the rock and roll that they became famous for. Because a lot of these were,
rockabilly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But, they were raised in gospel, and that was what most of them knew words to. But yeah, you can hear them hanging out, jamming out, and it's an amazing record to listen to. And you can see the picture of them all standing there. They're standing right by the piano around Elvis, and you can see a picture of it. It's amazing.
All right, we're going to talk about Elvis in a minute because we just have to. But all right, since you've told us all of this, is there a song from that show that you want to sing for us?
Oh, sure.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, of course. Well,
I know I kind of put you on the spot with that one.
No, that's not a problem whatsoever. I never have a problem being put on the spot. So let's see. Probably let's do Folsom Prison. That's Johnny Cash's intro to the show. And it's such a cool song. And after I play this, we'll definitely talk a little bit about Folsom and some interesting background that I've learned in the history of it. So this is Folsom Prison Blues. Hello, I'm Johnny Cash. I hear the train coming, it's rolling round me. And I ain't seen the sunshine since I don't know when. Well, I'm stuck in Folsom Prison, and time keeps dragging on. But that train keeps rolling up down to San Antone. When I was just a baby, my mama told me, son, always be a good boy, don't ever play with guns. Well, I shot a man in the rib just to watch him die. When I hear that whistle blowing, I hang my head and cry. Well, if they free me from this prison, if that railroad train was mine, I bet I move it on a little farther down the line, far from Folsom Prison. It's where I want to stay. And I let that lonesome whistle blow my blues away.
Awesome. That's one of my favorite Johnny Cash songs for sure.
I love it.
Oh, you did great with it. God, I would have loved to have seen like a live show when you were doing that. That would have been awesome.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. It's interesting. So I find that his famous recording of that is at Folsom Live, right? And if you listen back on the recording that was released by Columbia, you'll hear him say, "I shot a man in Reno just to watch him die." And you hear all the prisoners scream and shout in there, because they're like, yeah, he shot a man to watch him die, because that's the rebel Johnny Cash.
Yeah.
And you listen to that recording. So the actual recording of that date when he sings "Shot a man in Reno just to watch him die" is silent. That was Columbia that cut that audio clip onto that to make it seem like these prisoners were wild and crazy and all of this stuff. They actually screamed. That was an audio clip of them screaming when Johnny Cash went to shake Glenn Shirley's hand. Now, Glenn Shirley is a man who was in prison at the time when Johnny Cash went to Folsom. And he sent Johnny Cash a song called Greystone Chapel. And Greystone Chapel was the name of the chapel at Folsom Prison. And he sent him this song. And he kind of like snuck it out. He paid some guards and got the song out to Johnny. Johnny heard it the night before playing Folsom Prison and sang it that night. And after singing it that night, he went and shook Glenn's hand. And when he shook Glenn's hand, reached over the stage, and there's a picture of him going to reach to shake Glenn's hand. The prisoners screamed and rioted because they were so excited that Johnny Cash treated them like actual human beings. And it's an interesting thing because Colombia sold it as they were these crazy wild prisoners, and it was this deathly thing for him to be there and all of that. You know, it was just, giving the image of the man in black. But truly, it was them screaming because they appreciated that man for looking past all of the things that they've done in their life and seeing human beings in them,
right,
and treating one of their own as a human being. So I think that's an interesting little story that very few people in the world know.
Yeah, I didn't know that. That is amazing. I've been a Johnny Cash fan, so that is so cool. And that's why I've kind of like took my question sheets and just like, you know, because I can't think of a question that I could ask you that you would answer and give me that. So, you know, I would rather just hear real life stuff that you guys experience, and that is just crazy. Yeah. But you know, going back to what I said about Elvis, and I'm probably like, Johnny's here and Elvis is just he's above just a little bit.
That's fair.
But could you imagine back in the day just hanging out in Elvis's living room with him, jamming out, and all the people that would congregate in his house?
Absolutely. I mean, yeah.
I mean, that would have been anybody's dream.
Oh, and of course.
He is just a man that died way before his time.
Yeah. You know, and it's interesting because it's like, you know what I was saying about how, you know, artists, we have this unique responsibility, right? And he had a unique responsibility. And unfortunately, his unique responsibility came at him during a time where people didn't know to look after artists, look after their emotional well-being, and make sure that they were on track, you know? And unfortunately, he was very misguided by the general. There's a whole story behind that guy, the guy who was his manager for many years. But yeah, he died way too young. But, you know, it's interesting when you track artists, and I think that responsibility that they felt they had.
Yeah, because like you say, if he had been taken care of properly, he would have had years and years and years still to go.
Oh, of course.
To put music out there, and can you imagine what would have came out?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's and you'll never know too, you know, because it's also always interesting, you know, to think about that, like what could have come out. But then on the flip side of it, right, you know, do you then look at it and say, yeah, but like look how he ended. You know what I mean? True. Like, you know, like he had plenty of drops down. You know, he had plenty of hard times where he fell from popular opinion. But when you look at the totality of that man's life, he will always be the king of rock and roll. And, you know, there's something interesting about the king of rock and roll never, you know, got old, you know, because
that's true.
There's something to it, you know, and you just never know, you know, it's who's to say?
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, I wish somebody would have, and I'm glad that you brought that up. I wish that there would have been somebody back in those days, in, you know, the earlier decades, where people did look out for them and their well-being.
Absolutely.
Obviously, we know he had a massive problem with drugs and alcohol, and that can easily affect any artist.
Of course, yeah.
You know, it did so many, you know, before now, and it will from here forward.
Absolutely.
But now, like you say, hopefully there's people that have y'all's best interest in heart that will really look out for you and hopefully prevent that from happening. Yeah. But you never know.
Yeah, you don't know. And I think what's tough is, you know, because it is no one's responsibility to look out for everyone or, you know, to notice the signs, you know. I think, you know, because you can never blame someone that doesn't see the signs for not seeing the signs.
Yeah, because ultimately it's that person's responsibility.
You know, it is. I think just as a population, I think, you know, we can just strive to be more kind, more grateful, you know, and in just a less critical society and a more supportive society.
Right. Well, and take the negativity off of mental health awareness.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
Yeah, that's where the change needs to begin. Yeah. Because you just think, back in Elvis's day, if there was no stigma against seeking mental health help.
Right.
And even today it's still there somewhat. And
of course.
That needs to be removed. I'm a huge mental health awareness person.
Absolutely.
And if I could pick, well, I can't pick just one thing, but I have several soapboxes that I like to stand on, so to speak, but that's one of them for sure.
For sure.
And I just wish that social stigma could be gone. And then I think there wouldn't be so many people struggling.
It's the idea of being an advocate for something, right? So I was speaking with Angie K, and I'm just referencing this because we literally just got off of a Zoom conference call pretty much right before I hopped on here. Right. And we were both talking that, I think her and I are similar in the sense that we are a new generation of country artists that are interested in these ideas, interested in the discussion of these ideas and stuff like this. That being said, neither of us are here to make statements, with our music. We're not here to say, I am going to sing this and it's going to tell everyone exactly what to think. We are just here to change the dialogue. Right. And it is, it is not by saying, this is what people should think. It is saying, this is how I approach something. And it's it can happen in small things, and one of the songs that I'll probably sing later, because it's the title track to the EP that I will be releasing. But it's called Swipe Right on Me. And it's just this fun song that, I had. And there is a stigma about being on dating apps. It's definitely there. And I understand why it's there for a lot of reasons. It's dating apps are known for hookups. They're known for meaningless sex with people that you don't know. And there's so many things that come under that spectrum. And there's also just this idea that if you're on a dating app, like either that's not where you're going to end up finding your person, or, that you're only looking for one thing, And I was raised by a very strong single mother who definitely, taught me something interesting that I don't know if she knew what she was teaching me, but she was teaching me how to be a gentleman, but not just by showing chivalry all the time. And I think it's interesting because there's a fine line, I think, between misogyny and chivalry. And because if you feel like, because I am the man, I must do this, this, and this, I think you are doing something wrong to this new society. I think you can say that, I feel I have my role in this, but my role is to listen, learn, and adapt to make sure that, this relationship grows. And so, I don't know, I grew up listening to things that I didn't like in country music and always just feeling weird about it. Sometimes the hearing of the painted on jeans and, nothing outwardly wrong by anything that was being said. But I was just like, maybe there's just different ways we can say this. And so there's something that I strive to do with my music is say a common idea just a little differently. That way I'm not making a statement. I'm just changing the dialogue. Right. And I think there's something interesting in that.
Oh, yeah, I agree. And before you sing us that song, I will have to say I should be the spokesperson for Match.com.
Great.
Because back when the dating apps first started, that is actually how I met my husband.
Awesome.
And we have been together for 16 years.
Congratulations.
And this coming May will be 13 years we've been married.
Wow.
Together for 16 years. And that's how we met. And funny thing, just quick short story.
Of course.
We had both gotten out of terrible relationships. I'm not ashamed at this point to say my previous marriage was very abusive. Mm-hmm. I'm a huge advocate for domestic violence. That was a bad time in my life.
Yeah.
And domestic violence can go either way.
Oh, of course.
My husband, I'm not going to say it was domestic violence, but it was emotionally not well. So we have both gotten out of both terrible relationships. And the last thing in the world that we were looking for was another relationship.
Right.
But it was funny because both of us had friends that were like, hey, dating apps were new at that time. And it was like, both of our friends were like, I'm tired of y'all picking crappy people. Let us handle this for you. So, because they wanted to try the apps out, but they were married.
Right.
So my friend goes on, she makes my profile. Paul's friend goes on, makes his profile, and we end up meeting each other.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and it was so weird. He was the only person that I ever met from a dating app. And I remember the day we met, I was scared to death, but that's a whole nother story for another time. But I was like, am I fixing to go meet a serial killer? Oh my God. I was freaking out the whole time. And there was some sort of glitch on my end to where like my pictures didn't upload. So he had no idea what I looked like. He was going just solely off or his friends were going solely off my profile.
Sure.
Because back then, we didn't even have cell phones that you could send pictures.
Right.
They were just the basic cell phones. So, yeah, long story short, it was funny, but it worked out great. I love telling the story of how we met. Maybe I'll do that on one of my afternoon live shows. I love telling the story of how we met because there is a negativity, like you said, around dating apps somewhat or something. But for us, it worked.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I mean, I think it's just like anything, it's nothing is for everyone. Right. And so I think what I also found fun about writing this song is I wanted to take something. So where it actually came from is I was out here in Nashville before going on Norwegian Cruise Lines, going on tour in Europe, right? And
that would have been fabulous.
Oh, it was amazing. Definitely too many stories for now. We'll have to jump back on another time.
That's another one.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was right before I was going on that tour, and I was out here with a couple of co-writers that I really had wanted to work with. People that I was like, I like what you do. I like the way you think about songs. Let's see what we can do. And I was on my way there to one of the guys I was set up to write, and I knew one of the songs I really wanted to work on. And then I am at a red light and I'm getting all these push notifications from Tinder and Bumble and Hinge. That's another one I'm on. And I'm getting all these push notifications because when you're in a new area, they send you notifications saying, oh, look at all these new people in your new area that think you're great, trying to get you to swipe and all of that stuff. Okay. And it's basically, that no one started swiping on you because you're new to the area, but they want you to start swiping so that they can push your profile on other people.
Right. See, obviously, anyway, I'm not familiar with dating apps nowadays.
It's all good. It's a whole thing. So they're sending you notifications trying to get you on. So I'm on and I'm swiping, and I'm not really thinking too much about it because realistically, I don't know what I was swiping for at this red light at this intersection because I really wasn't even looking at profiles that much. I think I was just like, I'm in a new city. I would love to just like hang out with someone that's cool. Just someone show me around the city, take me out, and just have a fun time. That's all I was really looking for. But it's that stigma with dating apps that you can't just like meet someone and just have a fun night out.
Right.
And I was just thinking, what if? And then as I'm thinking this, Alan Jackson comes on my playlist. And now Good Time, Alan Jackson comes on my playlist. And I love Good Time. I love the idea of it, how it became, a world record for the longest line dance. And everything about that. And I was like, a line dance song hasn't been written in a while.
Yeah.
And I think this would be an interesting concept. And so the two just kind of came together at that perfect time. And I scrapped the song I was ready to bring to this guy. And we just sat down and I told him, I was like, I just had this idea. Here's the vibe I'm going for. And we just started. And within like 30 minutes, this song was done. I mean, like we just were bouncing back and forth with each other so quickly. And we were just laughing the whole time because we were like, we thought, how many ways can we say someone's on their phone without saying on their phone? How many different ways can you say you're getting messages that, it's a match? How many dating apps can we throw in? So we were like, all right, Tinder, Bumble, eHarmony, Match. We're going to get them all in there. And we did. And it's been people love the song.
It's a fun song. All right. So now, are you going to make the line dance for it?
Yes. So I don't think I will be choreographing it. I have a wonderful, wonderful friend out in Chicago who I met through doing the show $1 Million Quartet, who, when I first showed her that song, she said, please let me be your choreographer. And she's an incredible dancer. I mean, she is just amazing. She is going to choreograph something amazing for us. And eventually when the music video is in the works, I will bring her out here. We will get some amazing talent to be a part of this. And I think what'll be exciting, yeah, absolutely. I think what'll be exciting is I really just want to fill this up with as many people as possible. Just to have a good time while doing this, funnily enough, a good time. And I think that's the idea. Oh,
that's so cool. All right. Well, now you got to play it for us.
All right, sounds good. So there is an instrumental break where I would normally I don't, if I'm doing this song live, I won't, if I had the opportunity, there's a band with me, I won't play this song on acoustic because I also play harmonica. So I won't be playing the harmonica for this because I only have so many hands to do so much. But yeah, we'll give this one a shot. So this is Swipe Right on Me. It is the title track to the EP that I'll be releasing over the summer. Here we go. I reached in my pocket for the Friday night money. I went to the DJ and I slipped him a 20. I see that girl trying not to be seen. She's hiding behind that 5-inch screen. The good time Alan Jackson, yeah, that ought to get her attention. A better inbox, a Bumble is buzzing like a bee. Well, I'd sure like to FaceTime, but I don't mean virtually. Dancing's no fun alone, so help me put down the phone so she can swipe right on over to me. She had her hand on that Android like it was a Bible till the DJ laid down the country golden Bible. It wouldn't be long as she had let it go. That boot and scoop and buggy had her tapping her toes. Well, I reeled her in for an old school time when I casted out my brand new pickup line. Get your fingers off the Tinder and walk them all over me. Well, I'd sure like to FaceTime, but I don't mean virtually. Dancing's no fun alone, so will you put down your phone so you can swipe right on over to me? All right, I'm gonna bring it down a little bit. Here we go. Says swipe right on me. That's a honky-tonky harmony. I said swipe right on me. That's a honky-tonky harmony. I said swipe R-I-G-H-T. Well, it's a honky-tonky harmony. No more Bumble and no more Tinder, but it looks like a match to me. We got to a FaceTime, and I don't mean virtually. Hell no, dancing's no fun alone. So you put down your phone so you can swipe right on over to me. One more time. No more dancing alone. It could have gone either way, I know. But you swipe right when you swipe right on over to me.
I love that song.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks.
I love that. So that's not going to be released until this summer, though?
Till this summer. So actually, I know it's all of my music, all of my original music actually is, it has not been released anywhere. I'm still fairly new to the songwriting scene and to sharing that part of myself. But I got into the studio December 1st. That's what I came out here for, was to start recording, start getting ready to release stuff. Then the tornado came early March. So, I lost the home I was living in, and then this pandemic. And wow. A lot of things have unfortunately been put on hold. But I figure, this being my first time releasing original music, I'm wanting to give, the people that are following me, the people that have been interested in this part of my life, I want to give them the best that I have. So I figure, wait, make sure it's right, and give them the best. Because I owe it to them as much as I owe it to myself and the songs that I hold so dearly. So it looks like over the summer, that's the goal for when I'm shooting to release it. Everything will be updated and posted on my Instagram. So for anyone listening, that Instagram is Christopher J. Essex. It's exactly how my name is on this stream, just with no period to it. And all one word. Yeah, and you can find all of that stuff there. And that's where a lot of the updates will come from.
That's awesome. I can't wait for it to come out. I know when I was, after I saw you on Upstar and started following you on Instagram, and I would see, a lot of your music on your Instagram. And then, of course, I went over to Spotify, and I'm like, I don't see anything. So I was like, okay, why has he not released anything yet? It's got to be coming out soon. So now I know why. So I'll be ready and anxious for that to come out.
I'm so excited to release it.
It is such a fun song.
And that's what I try and do. I try and write whatever thing is authentic to me. And I'm someone who loves to dance. And, I was like, if I don't hear something that's making me dance, why don't I write it? But it's I think what's been exciting about doing the Instagram live streams. So also for anyone that is listening, I've been doing these quarantine and chill live streams where I bring on new artists, and I am actually developing a new thing now where I will be bringing on a new artist every week starting next week. And so every week a new artist will come onto my page and we'll hang out, play new music for you, play covers by request, and tell people what's going on in our lives and hang out. But I think what's been so exciting about doing these Instagram live things is this has been the first time I've been sharing my original music with people. I've held it so close to me for so long. And it's been so frustrating because I'm like, I want the first time people to hear it to be this, recording. And I was like, I've got to let go and share that part. And I've been getting such great responses to the music that I've written, and that is just so exciting to me as an artist. It's so great. So I'm so excited. I'm now even more pumped to get this out to everyone.
Oh, I bet. And I bet I know I've talked to several others. Like I talked to Ricky Gunn today, and he's been in the studio, and he's getting ready to get some new stuff out there, and several others that I've talked to are just like you. This quarantine has had everybody, locked down, and not able to get out there and perform for people other than these lives. And that's what you guys are used to doing. And, you're going a little bit stir crazy, rightfully so. So I'm glad that these live events are happening. It's giving y'all something to do. I really think it's drawing the fans closer to y'all.
Absolutely.
I can say that for myself personally, because we're getting to know y'all. We're getting like a personal side of y'all that we're not going to get from a concert.
Yeah, of course. And I think that's something that, I really want to do. So, the project that I'm starting, the weekly thing, I'm going to be titling it Wednesday Nights With. And so it's going to be Wednesday. Yeah. So it's going to, it's an easy thing to remember, but it'll be Wednesday Nights With, and then it'll be a new artist,
whoever it is. Yeah.
And I think, that's something that I want to keep going after, this quarantine. And the positive side of this quarantine is that I learned how not only how effective this is, but how much I have enjoyed it and other artists have enjoyed it. Because like you said, it is bringing the people that, and so it's still such a weird concept for me to say of fans, because I always find it funny that anyone could be a fan of mine, you know, because I don't ever think of myself as that person. But for all intents and purposes, the fans or the people that are interested in who we are, to get closer to us, I'm also getting closer to them. You know, I try and stay very active with the people that follow me and try and talk to them about what they like about this, because end of the day, I'm an entertainer and I want them to have the best experience possible. So I think it works well on both ends, and I'm loving that it's happening. I love it.
Oh yeah. It's the problem for me is I sign on Instagram and I'll see that you're live, so-and-so is live, so-and-so is live. So, you know, there's 4 or 5 lives and I'm like, okay, let me go here for a minute. And I have to jump around because I want to see all you guys' shows, but you know, I can't be in 5 places at once.
Well, you know, and that's something that will certainly calm down after the quarantine. Yeah. But I think that's why I want to get this project started next week. That way, you know, the project starts in quarantine, but I want it to carry on much further than that. And I think the reason, you know, and I'm a dreamer, and I guess I will always be that way as an artist, but, you know, there may come a day where, you know, either myself or some of the people that I've had on become these people that sell out arenas, you know, and that's a real thing, especially with a lot of the people I'm bringing on. I'm like, you're amazing.
Yeah.
And if that is the case, you know, with this next generation, I think it would just be such an exciting thing, you know, to see those people that you see live in these arenas. And, you know, you hear these songs with the full band and everything behind them, and then you get to hear the stories of where those songs came from. I think that will be something that is going to be exciting for people. And I'm hoping, because I think a lot of times, I think the Bluebird, what it gives as its most successful thing is you get to see these artists and hear their stories.
Right.
And I think there's something exciting and intimate about that.
Oh yeah. Well, that's one thing I keep wanting to tell about it, but it's just not time to tell about it yet.
Nope.
Next week, but you know, it's coming this week. I'm going to tell about it. But I just lost my train of thought for a minute because I got so excited. But, you know, my follow-up to this quarantine, and especially after next week, is I can't wait till I'm trying to build up my catalog of interviews that I'm doing while y'all are locked down.
Right.
And then when you get out there and you're on the road and you're doing live, I'm going to continue doing this, hopefully for a long, long time. But when you're out there live and you're doing your shows, I can't wait to come see you live.
Oh, of course.
Do an in-person interview with you.
Absolutely.
And, you know, just to see the difference, feel the difference, actually get to meet you in person, you know, wash our hands first and shake hands.
Absolutely.
But, you know, so I'm looking so forward to that. That's kind of I know y'all are looking forward to getting out and performing. I'm looking forward to getting out and seeing you guys.
Well, and that's, I think what's exciting too is, you know, the more people know, you know, each of these artists, and so I just watched on Netflix. I have been a part of the group that has not been watching, what's that? Tiger King. I have not been watching that on Netflix.
I haven't either.
I
didn't really get the hype about it.
It's just what, you know.
Don't send me hate mail, people.
Fair to everyone who's loved that. It just wasn't going to be me. Exactly. But nevertheless, what I watched Lincoln Center Presents, and it was for, and his name will be leaving me. I can't. This famous comedian. I should be able to look this up. Netflix. It was the Kennedy Center, right? Kennedy Center Comedian Award. It'll come up in like 2 seconds. Dave Chappelle. There we are.
Oh yeah.
So Dave Chappelle was given the Mark Twain Award from the Kennedy Center, and I was watching that and just being astounded by a career of a truly gifted individual, right? But what really got me so passionate when I was watching this was I heard about, so he's from Ohio, and when they had a shooting out in Ohio, a mass shooting in Ohio, he reached out and called upon all of his friends, all from all walks of artist life, and said, come out to Ohio, do me a favor, and put on a concert. And they did. And they put on a concert out there for this, the residents out there. And it turned into this huge thing, right? And I forget who was saying this in an interview about that, but he had looked over at them and he said, these people will not be remembered by the shooting. They will be remembered by this. This is their memory now. And I was just like, awesome. Wow. And I guess I got so passionate after that point about doing this project of, Wednesday nights with, and, building these artists, because I am that type of person that I would love to, continue to build, an army of people that I think are good people with good music and have a lot to bring this world, so that if I ever need to call upon them, my friends, my fellow artists, to do something that we can enact change in, I want to do that. And I think that this is just a stepping stone. So it's a dream and the future for the hope that building a community of strong people. And I think what's interesting too is by doing this, fans that are from one page go to another and vice versa. Right. And then they start just being followers of all of these people. So all of these people now have this like-minded group of people that have each other. I think it's great.
Absolutely. I agree with you. And I think that was a fabulous thing for him to do, to try to override that tragedy with something good.
Absolutely.
So, that's great. I cannot wait to see. That's why I'm anxious. My chair keeps rolling backwards. I told my husband, this floor is uneven because my chair will just roll backwards on its own. Anyway, I'm really anxious to see what's going to happen. Excuse me.
No worries.
When we're no longer locked down, and how the artists are going to, because everything is going to be crazy. I think it was when I was talking to Matt the other night about y'all's schedules. Like, so many of y'all artists had your schedules done like throughout the summer, concert dates where you were touring, venues you were playing at. And now everything is changed. And your whole schedule, or these venues have to reschedule their everything, all these artists, where are they going to put you? Where are you going to go? You've got to reschedule all your stuff. So it's going to be chaos for a little bit afterwards, I think.
Oh, for sure.
It's going to be really interesting to see what comes out of it.
Absolutely.
I'm very curious to see what artists do what, to try to take the negativity away and turn this whole thing into something positive through music. I know something will be done. It's just like, I don't know what. And I'm anxious to see what it's going to be.
Yeah. And I think if anything, it's taught us a valuable lesson about the connections that we make, to cherish them. And something as simple as truly just cherishing the ability to shake someone's hand, to come in contact with them, to give them a hug, or to, have a face-to-face conversation with someone. It's something that we do on a daily basis that we don't cherish that opportunity. And I think a lot of us definitely will after this point.
Oh yeah.
So there are lessons. There's so many lessons to be learned from all that's going on right now. And I think a lot of people are learning them.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's going to be that group of people that shy away and back up, and they're going to be like afraid to touch anybody or anything. Sure. Personal contact is going to be, don't get in my personal space. Sure. But then it's going to bring there's going to be a whole nother group that I'm going to be a part of that is going to want that face-to-face contact with people.
Yeah, and, absolutely.
I'm a hugger anyway. I'm a loving person. And, so it's going to make me more so, I think. And
of course.
My grandmother's in a nursing home and they're not allowed to have any visitors.
Yeah.
Of course we're all on lockdown. Nobody can, but I just, I think about, it's going to make me go visit her more.
Of course.
Because it's reality that hits you in the face. That I think we took for granted before. If we want to go see somebody, we're just going to jump in the car and go.
Right.
And we haven't been able to do that. So it's going to make everybody look at things differently, I hope, in a positive light.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Not negative. But let's switch gears and not be on this dark subject.
Cool, let's do it.
I want to know something funny about you. Something, I am forever doing klutzy things or something that will make people laugh at me, and that's okay. Because I can laugh at myself. Right. So is there something that you have done that's been like one of those moments that you just wanted to crawl under the table because you did something incredibly stupid or embarrassing? Or
I do things stupid all the time. I'm just not embarrassed by them because
I'm not either.
I just don't have the opportunity at this point. There are too many to count. I think something funny about me, and this just goes to show how much of a dork I am, and I hope I'll be able to do it. I'm vocally tired after all the streams and everything, but I am normally very good at Scooby-Doo and Shaggy vocal impressions. And I will do
my granddaughter would love you.
And I do this thing where I kind of will just like talk to myself as the two. And I think it's just, I don't know, I just find it funny, but I'll give it a shot. My voice is tired, but let's see what I can't do with it. Like zoinks, like Mary Jane is like my favorite name. Ree, Raggy, come here, Scooby snack. Like you want a Scooby snack? Yes, Ree. So
I love it.
I do that, and I just find it very, very funny. It is on one of my dating profiles that I do that, and I get asked all the time to do it. And I always say, like, I will do it. Just understand, when we are on a date, people are going to look at us like we're crazy because I am going to be doing that in a public place. But I do a lot of, very strange things with my voice, like Squidward from SpongeBob. SpongeBob. I don't know. I've just always been fascinated by affecting and changing my voice to do these voiceover type things. I just love it, and I find it fun.
Oh, that's funny. Okay, so you went to college for acting, and you can do these voiceovers.
Okay.
If you got asked to do like a movie, like where it was just a voiceover part, I can't think of God, but brain is left me right now. But those type of movies, I can't even think of a movie title now. The kid movies where you have the voiceovers with the characters. Yeah, would you like doing something like that?
Absolutely. So, in the long scheme career-wise, which isn't really a conversation that I have a lot, because I don't know, it's just not something that comes up often, but I do consider myself still just an artist, an all-around and all-encompassing artist. That means I still am an actor. That means I still will sing, and I still will dance. I still will pursue those dreams. So the overarching career goal that I have for my life is I want to continue to push all of those career paths and avenues and artist creations to the best that I can, so that I do come to a point in my life where, when I am able to settle down and have a family and everything like that, that I'm still not chasing these other avenues, that the other avenues are being presented to me, saying there's TV show that you could be on because you have proven yourself as an actor. We know that you can do this, and I'm not opposed to auditioning, but that I'm not, it was one of my fears when I was out in New York, is that I was going to continue to do the Broadway path, which is very, very uncertain. It's a lot of auditioning and a lot of no's constantly, and maybe at one or two jobs. And I just figured I could do more if I went a different avenue and took a different doorway to that. So I definitely don't turn myself off. I still get offers all the time to play Johnny Cash and $1 Million Quartet. I mean, they still come in, and unfortunately I've been turning them down more recently to just focus on my music career. But I actually do model out here in Nashville. So, I'm still working in that commercial scene, and I'm not opposed to anything. I want all of them to come in, and I never want to limit myself. I appreciate the artists out there like Childish Gambino, and he's a rapper, but his actor name is Donald Glover, and he does both. He's a rapper and he does this as well. And though he goes by two different names to define which artist you decides to be at the time.
That's interesting.
You know, I think it's interesting. I'll keep the same one for me. But either way, I want people to look at me as a multifaceted artist. And I always as a storyteller. Always as a storyteller. So whatever that is, if I'm acting the story or I'm singing the story, there's a story there.
Well, that answered my question. You know, like, where do you want to see yourself in 5 years, 10 years? That's pretty much explains.
I don't know where I could say I can see myself in 5 to 10 years, you know, because it's tough because I'm going to, you know, I had an acting professor in college who said a saying, and I live by the saying now. And it's, you know, it was related to acting and to your choices in acting. But there's a lot of things when you study acting that you try and apply to real life. And it's this idea of hold on tightly, let go lightly. Now, the way it relates to acting, right, is when you are in a scene with someone, you have objectives in that scene, right? You have, I want my character to get this, and I want the person that I'm talking to say this to me. And that's why I delivered these lines to them, is in the hope that they will say this. And if they say it, how do you react to that? Is that a positive or a negative thing to it? If they don't say it, how do you react to that? You know, do you try a different tactic to get what you want? When you go into that scene, you have a set idea of how you are going to get what you want from that other person. So you hold on tightly to what that idea is. I'm going to play this tactic and this tactic and this tactic to get the person to give me what I want.
Right.
When you get to that scene, though, that person could do something that you're not expecting them to do, could deliver a line differently than you expected to hear it. And when you hear it, you've got to let go lightly and hold on tightly to something else. So it's this idea of you have to listen and respond actively to what's being given to you, but hold on tightly to everything that comes to you, but just be ready to let go lightly. And so I look at that in my whole life and say, I'm going to take the choices in my life that I'm going towards, and I'm going to hold on tightly to them. So currently that is releasing my music, you know, planning out a tour and going towards my country music and my storytelling through that. And I'm going to hold on tightly to that. And if that amounts to something in this near future, continue to hold on tightly to it. And then as soon as something presents itself that says, chase down this avenue, I'm going to let go lightly of this thing that I've been chasing. And now always know that it's going to be there for me when I continue to come back to it. But now hold on tightly to something else and chase that down. And then when I'm ready to give that up, let go lightly of it. You know, don't make that tough decision of, oh, I don't know, I've already invested so much into this. How could I leave this to pursue something else? You have to kind of go with that flow and follow, you know, your path on that. So I can't say where 5 to 10 years will hold, or what the goal for it, as long as that the goal in mind is to continue being a storyteller and tell my stories to as many people as possible.
Right. Rather it be through music or through acting or
absolutely
whatever.
Yeah.
And hopefully the best of both worlds.
Absolutely. And for anyone watching too, I have no intents of leaving country music anytime soon. Because I am loving what I'm doing way too much.
Well, and you're just really getting started at it. So
absolutely.
You can't. Not just getting started, but you know what I mean.
Absolutely. No, I'm definitely at the beginning stages of this. And that's why I decided to take a step away from acting. Was so that I could, you know, hold on tightly to this, give this everything that I can while I'm doing this. So, yeah.
So, New York, Nashville. Huge difference in the two places.
Yes.
But I'm sure you have likes and dislikes about both places. But you like Nashville better?
I do. And so it's interesting. So New York will have a place in my heart. I think it's an amazing city that has a lot to offer it, and a lot to offer the people there. I am just someone, I've known that I wanted to be a dad for very long in my life. Since I was probably like 15 or 16, I knew that, you know, as much as all of this is there, and I think I've been blessed with some talents, and I think I've worked hard at those talents to refine them. I think the thing that I am meant to be is a father. I can't explain why that's a feeling that I have. It's just a feeling that I have, and I just know that about myself.
Right.
So knowing that about myself, when I was in New York, it was something that was constantly on my mind was, if I live here and I stay here and I hold on tightly to this career path that I'm choosing out here, what will raising a family look like out here? And it just wasn't something for me personally that I could see myself doing out there. Right. And so Nashville, when I'm here, I see everything that I loved about New York in terms of there is a city here and there is a connection and there's people and there's nightlife and there's so much happening. But then you can step away from it. You can own home with property and land where your family can develop here, you know, right. And there's just so much more music out here too. And so I will always miss the hubbub that New York had and the acting and musical theater and shows and all of that creative outlet. I will always have a love for that. And, you know, most of my closest friends live out there actually. So I will always have family there. Yeah. But for me, it's Nashville. This is where I want to settle down. And even as I continue down other paths, you know, in the later, you know, future, I want to settle down here, whatever my life takes. I would love to settle down here.
So you've never thought about LA then, since
I
you have that acting bug, you've never thought about LA?
I have thought about LA. It's definitely like come, you know, into my mind. And it was actually a place that I considered moving when I was in Chicago. When I took the contract in Chicago, I said, I'm not going back to New York. And so then my decision was, do I go to Nashville or LA? And I think LA is a wonderful city. I've been there a couple of times and I have some amazing contacts out there, some amazing, amazing people. And will I maybe spend time out there, you know, in the future? Absolutely. It'll probably, I think it'll be inevitable that my life will take me to LA. Right. That being said, I don't know. There's just something about being here that just feels different to me.
Nashville is homey.
Yeah,
like you said,
it is.
You can see you raising a family there. LA would, to me, I've never been to LA. I've been to New York, like through there one time a long time ago, but that's on my bucket list to go back. But to me, it would seem like LA and New York are very similar.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there's just a little less congestion to all of it. But I would agree. You know what I mean? Yeah. LA is a more expansive version of New York in terms of spatial.
Right. Now, I love Nashville, so I would move there in a heartbeat if I could talk my husband into it. And I think he had this vision that it was just city, like Nashville, because he's just been downtown Nashville.
Sure, of course.
And I'm like, no, honey, we could have a house and land.
Oh,
there.
Yeah.
So,
because
he has to have land.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. I like the country life.
Yeah.
But I could see myself in Nashville for sure.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to offer, you know, on both spectrums. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I definitely love it. Well, as much as I love talking to you, we've been on here for a long time, so we'll get ready to wind this up. But I did want to ask you, I mean, we've talked about so much and we've probably kind of touched on this a little bit. But just to kind of bring it all together, what do you want people to know Christopher for? What do you want like your legacy to be? When people see your name, see your picture, what do you want them to remember most?
Interesting.
Or think of most?
I think, you know, it's always interesting to tie back into like the idea of wanting to be a father, right? I have always kind of lived under the idea I am not going to be the person that changes the world. I always just have had this dream that my kids were going to be those people. You know, I don't know. I have such high hopes for my future children to be the leaders of change, and, you know, and positive reflection, because not everything needs change. Sometimes it just needs positive reflection. And, but nevertheless, I think the thing that I pride myself in, and I hope people see in me and that I'll leave a legacy of, is someone that tries to give back as much as possible. I try at every avenue to donate my time and my efforts and my money, if I have it at the time, to charities. Two of them that I've spent a lot of my life on are National Coalition for the Homeless. I'm a big
Yes.
I support the homeless a lot, and I think, you know, it's interesting. You start to find out during this pandemic how much closer the majority of society is to being homeless than to being rich. You know, for some of us, we were that paycheck away. And so it's always just been interesting. And I've always been grateful that I've never been homeless as much as I struggled when Mom and I were growing up. You know, I always at least had a home, and I had food on the table. So I will always do my best to give back to the National Coalition for the Homeless. And if I ever do find enough success, I fully plan on donating as many proceeds as I can fiscally give away, you know, from concert to concert to the charity. The other one that I do a lot for, if I can, is the Fort Lauderdale Children's Theater. And that was the children's theater that I got my start in. And they changed my life forever by taking a chance on me when they cast me in my first musical there. And they have shown me just such love, such kindness, and I've taken so many lessons from them. And what these people do is just amazing, right? Because they didn't take my money when I was there. They scholarshiped me, as they said, which, that being said, they didn't have the money to scholarship me. You know, they need people to pay to be in shows, you know, or to pay to help, you know, run these shows, because they don't have, you know, a bank account full of money to do this stuff. And they saw someone with talent and someone that had a love for what they did, and scholarship this kid and continue to scholarship me in every show I ever did. And there's just something so amazing about people that can do that. You know, can say, this is going to be tough for us to do, but we will do this. And they continue to do it to this day and have such a great outlook on life. So the Florida Children's Theater is going to be another place that I hope to rise to success in one day, so that I can give back to them in a major way. And that's a big hope of mine. And I have some other charities that I want to continue to help out. And eventually, Walker Hayes does something that I find interesting. He has his own charity that doesn't have a specific charity or a specific cause that it's related to. It is, and I forget what it's specifically called, but it's like someone's van. And the reason it's called that is when he was struggling in his life, and he had a wife and he had a kid, and he was still trying to be a singer-songwriter, but was working a side job and was just struggling. His car broke down, and he now no longer had a way to get to work. And this guy gave him a van and said, take it.
Oh, wow.
Get to work. Do what you have to do. And now Walker Hayes is huge. He's a big name, great singer-songwriter, great solo artist, has an amazing family. And he chose that guy to be the founder or the head of this organization that he does.
Oh, wow.
What's great about the organization is the organization raises money into the organization itself, but then will pick different charities to donate to from in that organization. So when you're donating to that organization, you're not donating to a specific cause. You're not donating to homelessness or hunger or this, that, or the other thing. You're donating to the person and the trust that this person will do their best to find great causes out there to donate and allocate funds to. So I think that that's great and something that I would love to adapt into my life. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I like that. I wasn't aware of that. I like that.
It's
that way
really
he
cool.
can donate it where it's needed. At a certain time.
Exactly. And I think just a trust in the person that they're donating it to and the people that they're donating it to within this foundation, that they are doing their best to find the best charities that are doing the most with the money they're given. Because I think it's tough. There are a lot of people that want to give money, but they're like, where do I give money to? You know, who actually does the most, you know?
Right.
And, just a place where someone can go to say, trust in us. We're doing the research. We are there and trying to find different things to put our efforts towards.
Right. And I like the fact that you mentioned the children's theater, because while there are these other organizations, of course, that need donations, like the homeless. You know, I said I'm big on domestic violence. Absolutely. And, you know, all these causes, mental health, all these need money raised, of course, cancer research, neurological deficit research, all this, you know, needs our money. Mm-hmm. But anything that goes into somewhere, like you said, the children's theater, that is going to help our children stay out of trouble.
Yeah.
Invest in them to do something. I hear a phone going off somewhere. I'm going to ignore it. Sorry.
You're all good.
Just investing in our children for their future, because our children are our future.
Absolutely.
And if we don't invest in them, and something that, I mean, just think if that theater did not do that for you, and luckily you had a great mom, so I don't think you would have been, you know, like led astray. But even if you have a great mom, that can still happen. Yeah. But if you didn't have someone like that saying, we're going to scholarship you into this, where might you have you know, you could have been doing anything.
Absolutely.
If nobody saw your talent and gave you a chance, then you could have ended up being that teenager on drugs, or that teenager stealing, or, you know, going down that wrong path.
Well, and Tenille Townes sings a song, and I love Tenille Townes, and she sang a song, "Somebody's Daughter," and it is that idea. You know, you don't know that person, you know, on the side of the street, what led to them like that. And I think FLCT is a big factor that I am who I am, and not someone else, you know?
Right. Right. Exactly. And I mean, not to think of worst case scenario, but you know, there's so many kids that don't get the opportunity they deserve because they just don't have the money, or they don't have the family support, or that they lack that self-confidence.
Absolutely.
And places like that provide so many opportunities for children. So I think I like charities like that.
Absolutely.
That help develop our future.
And it you know, it's a big thing. So a friend of mine is doing a charity stream, actually, I think next week. And now she's amazing. So she's on the CW network. She is on their show, Nancy Drew. And she plays Nancy Drew, and she's one of my closest friends. And now she's this big famous actress, and I'm so proud of her. But I'm very proud that during this time she's doing a charity stream for children's theaters, because they're hurting right now a lot, and people don't realize this, but this pandemic actually is doing a lot that is hurting local children's theaters. Because for children's theaters, what people don't realize is they make money off of doing the shows. They are just like everyone else, right? They do this obviously for the entertainment and to bring people in, but they have to stay afloat. They have to put the shows on, and they have to have people coming in.
Right.
And the problem with it, this is happening very close to the summer and potentially affecting the summer months. And the summer months is when kids are off from school and can be a part of summer camps, and can be a part of day classes and acting and voice classes and the summer shows. And all of this, if they're being put on hold, or they're being canceled, or they're not getting as many people coming in because of this, it could be very detrimental to places that, you know, don't have much money to begin with. They live show to show. They live paycheck to paycheck, like a lot of us do. And so I'm very proud of her for doing that, you know, for her opening up her stream to to children's theaters in her area. I think that's amazing. And so for anyone watching this, if you know a children's theater in your area, send them some money, you know, or ask how you could potentially help them stay on their feet. Because right now there's someone that a lot of people aren't thinking of. And as an artist who started in children's theater and would not be here without it, I'm saying, just ask if you can help.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. I love that idea. And we'll, of course, talk more about that later.
Great.
I'm going to have people wondering, what does she do Pente now? And, you know, hey, that may be a good thing. We're going to get their curiosity up, and they're going to be like, what is she talking about?
Absolutely.
Y'all will find out. It's going to be good.
Soon enough. Absolutely.
All right, Christopher. Well, let's... end this. I have enjoyed talking to you so much, and I could just stay on here and talk to you for all day, but I know you've got more things to do, and I got to try to play catch up from the last couple of days. But
absolutely,
if you want to end this with another great song of yours, we would love that.
Sure, absolutely. Let's we'll end with this song. So we're gonna end with this song. This song is called On the Inside. And remember what I was saying about just changing the dialogue? This is kind of, one of those attempts, because what I will fault myself for is I am not the best at noticing in my relationships when my girlfriend or past girlfriends cut their hair or paint their nails or are wearing a new shirt or dress, and all these things that they're doing for me to notice and for me to appreciate that they've done for me. I am really, really bad at noticing them. And I've gone into the doghouse a couple times for it. I know. And so I wrote this as a little homage to the things that I don't notice and the things that I do. So this is On the Inside. There's a dress in your closet, tag still on it. You probably bought it for a night like this. Pick you up in my Chevy, you're hopping next to me, wishing I said something about how nice it fits. Well, truthfully, it's all the same to me, 'cause you're my girl, and you look so good in everything. But darling, I don't notice when you cut your hair, or know what kind of jeans you're wearing. If you got a new shirt on, if you worn it 100 times, just sit up or down, honey, I don't care. When you walk in the room, I can't help it, Sarah, don't matter to me what you got on the outside. You're the prettiest thing I'll ever see in my whole life. And most of all, you're just a beautiful on the inside. Well, darling, I know that your eyes happen to be the brightest. Blue in the light, it's them just so I can draw you a map of every freckle where they're at, from the front to the back with my eyes closed. And damn, that smile, it drives me wild. Yeah, you got that look that'll never go out of style. Well, darling, I don't notice when you cut your hair, or know what kind of jeans you're wearing. If you got a new shirt on, if you worn it 100 times, just sit up or down, honey, I don't care. When you walk in the room, I can't help it, Sarah, don't matter to me what you got on the outside. You're the prettiest thing I'll ever see in my whole life. And most of all, you're just a beautiful on the inside. Oh yeah. Well, darling, you're strong, you're kind, you're patient, and I'm amazed each time when I think about how you're mine, all mine. I'm gonna try and notice when you cut your hair and know what kind of jeans you're wearing. If you got a new shirt on, or if you worn it 100 times, or just sit up or down, honey, I don't care. When you walk in the room, I'm gonna stare. It don't matter to me what you got on the outside. You're the prettiest thing I'll ever see in my whole life. And most of all, you're just a beautiful, darling, I love how you're so damn beautiful on the inside.
Another great one.
Well, thanks.
Is that coming out this summer as well?
It will be. Yes, it will be.
Awesome.
That song definitely is going to be on the release coming out this summer, along with 2 to 3 others.
Awesome. I'm going to take just a second, give a little shout out here to Destiny. Hey, Destiny. She is a faithful follower. She jumps on my lives, comments. She's saying, I don't know if you can see the comments as well.
I can't.
Okay. She has said hello to you, hello to me, and asked how we are.
Well, Destiny is also, she is on my page, and I've seen her a bunch, and I've chatted with her and everything. So sorry, Destiny, I can't see the comments, unfortunately. But Destiny, hey, how's it going, Destiny? I hope to see you tonight on the stream, on my IG live. But yes, Destiny is a wonderful person.
She is. I think she's a fairly recent follower of mine, but she has started commenting, and she's just a really sweet girl. So wanted to give Destiny a shout out because she is definitely faithful to all of us.
Yeah.
And without you guys watching, we'd just be talking to ourselves.
Right.
So we appreciate all the Destinies out there.
Absolutely.
For sure. Well, Christopher, Christopher,
you got it.
I have loved having you on. It has been great. Like I said, we could talk all day.
Absolutely.
But we've both got other things we need to get busy on. What time is your live tonight?
I am going live 8 p.m. Central tonight.
Okay. 8 so 9 o'clock my time.
9 Eastern. Yep.
All right. And on your channel, or are you on?
I'm going to be on my Instagram live. Yeah.
Your Instagram live. Okay.
What I'm hoping to do as I continue with these series too, and the reason I try and keep it on my Instagram live is because they can join through their Instagram, so all of their followers can watch on their Instagram and see it happen. I think just being a one central hub for it to happen, I think will inevitably be more advantageous for everyone involved, because then I'm hosting it. It takes the pressure off of them having to go live on their account and then add me if something goes wrong. That way I deal with everything. No one has to stress about it. And then they can just come in and bring themselves to the journey. That's awesome. And so you've got a lineup plan. Do you just wait till daily to announce who you're having on? So I've been doing a schedule. The two people that I have tonight, I have one tonight and one tomorrow, were actually supposed to be this past weekend. I was supposed to go live with Clay and Adam Scott. And Adam Scott, bad internet. He's supposed to have new internet tomorrow, so we're supposed to go live tomorrow with no problems. Tonight, Clay's jumping on. We put him on delay because of the storm that happened the other day. We had that too. So we just kind of revamped things for this week. I will be posting a schedule for the weekend as I did last week for this past weekend. So I should post that. I'm still trying to confirm some acts because we had some moving around, but I definitely have one on Friday and then one on Sunday. We're working on one coming on Saturday, but I'll post those. And then what I will do from that point forward is I will be posting on a regular basis. Maybe it'll be, Sunday or Monday, on a regular basis to let people know who the artist will be for the Wednesday. That will be coming through. And then those will always be saved to my story so that anyone that misses it on the Wednesday can see it Thursday anytime that works for them. Okay. And do you just post that on your Instagram, or do you do much on, I just don't get on Facebook a whole lot anymore because I'm over on Instagram so much and it's hard to go back and forth. Yeah, the majority of my fan base is Instagram. I have some people on Facebook and stuff like that, and I definitely will be reaching out to those people, as I continue to try and bring people over to Instagram. But I would recommend stick to Instagram. That's the most active where I am. Facebook, I watch for funny videos at this point. Right. And to keep up with my grandparents. Right. And that's kind of the way I am. I'm mostly, and I'm trying to get people to know that I don't respond to messages on Facebook. Yeah. Because keeping up with Instagram messages and Facebook messages is just too much. Yeah, there's a lot going on. So, but since this is showing on Facebook Live, so people know, it does show up on Facebook, and then I put it over to my YouTube. Eventually, I'm not great at editing, so it takes me a few days. Things will be on YouTube. Once I get it put on YouTube, then I put the link on Instagram. Great. So
that way, Facebook people, Instagram people, YouTube people, they can all see this. If they didn't catch the live, they can catch it on YouTube when I put it up there. And then I also send you the link.
Yeah, absolutely. And once it's up on, you know, all of those platforms, like once it's on YouTube and everything, I will, you know, post that to my story so that people can swipe up and see that. So anyone that's watching, you know, they'll be able to catch it. I try and connect people as much as I can.
That's what I try to do too. And I know I just basically follow you on Instagram. We actually we had to friend request each other today on Facebook to do this. So my main hub is Instagram. So that's why I asked that for anybody watching. They would know how to find your live show and your schedule and all that stuff. So
perfect.
It sounds great. Well, again, I thank you for having you on. It has been fantastic. I'm going to catch your show tonight. Everybody else, y'all be sure to tune in. Catch Christopher's show if you haven't caught one already. They are a lot of fun. It's kind of like we've done here today. He has artists on. They just talk and they chat and they play music, and you learn a lot and you get introduced to a lot of new artists. So I encourage y'all to tune in. It will be worth your time for sure. So thanks, Facebook people, for tuning in. We love you. And what is today? Tuesday. So I will be on tomorrow afternoon, 1:00 for my live show. I hope nothing happens since I had to miss that Friday and Monday. I apologize. Just have not felt well. But I'm getting back to my good normal self. So I'll see you guys Wednesday. Christopher, I'll see you later tonight on your live. You want to say goodbye to the people?
Yes. Thanks so much, everyone, for watching. Thanks so much, Stacey, for having me on. This has been a lot of fun. I always love meeting and talking to new people. So anyone that does come over to my Instagram, be sure to drop me a message, say hi, and we'll stay in touch.
All right. Sounds good. Until tomorrow, Facebook people and Instagram. Peace. Take care of yourselves and stay healthy.
Absolutely. See y'all.
All right.